Hi, my name is Cheryl, CEO of LifeWorks, founder of mylifeworks.com, and welcome to another session of interview of Conversations with Uncommon Women. Today we have with us Ms Patsy Doerr, who is the Global Head of Diversity and Inclusion of Thomson Reuters. And she'll be sharing with us her career journey, what were some of the challenges, her criteria for success, and I'm sure you will gain lots of insights. Welcome, Patsy.
Thank you. So you've asked me to talk about my career path, and basically, in short, I went to university in Virginia after growing up in Manhattan. And I think probably the most important element of that experience is that I was one of the first women in an all-men's college. So it was a 250-year-old university. It was all men, and there were 100 women and 1,500 men there. So we had a fantastic opportunity to start from the ground up in terms of building an environment that supported women when I was only 18 years old. I then went actually to graduate on with a BS in biology, so I was always a math and science-oriented kid, actually, although I've ended up in human resources somewhere along the way. So after university, I ended up going into sales. I thought I was going to be a doctor. That was my original plan, but I decided at the young age of 22 that I wasn't ready to go to medical school and that I would actually explore another angle. So I went into sales, which was always an orientation of mine and has remained so, and it's definitely a theme throughout my career. And then I ended up going into investment banking at JP Morgan. Interestingly enough, I had never taken a business course in my life, and nor had I had any exposure to finance, again, because my background was all science and math. And so I was thrown into the trading desk, the derivatives trading desk, and actually asked to develop learning and development programs for the traders. Again, knowing nothing about the product and taking on a new role, we basically built out a learning curriculum for the derivatives university, if you will. And then I ended up building my career in learning and development while at JP Morgan. I got my master's at night at Fordham University in adult education and organizational development, and I was able to take what I learned at night and apply it the next day at work. And as I was at JP Morgan for about 5 years, I had a number of different roles in learning and development. I ran the graduate training programs for quite some time, and then I actually started a learning and development function for the audit function. You'll see a theme throughout my career is that pretty much every role that I've ever taken has been a brand new role. So my skill set and my interest is all about building from the ground up. Obviously, it has to be sustainable, but I generally take on new responsibilities so I have the opportunity to build. So after JP Morgan, I was recruited by Deutsche Bank to actually go over to the UK. So I went over to the UK to actually, again, start a learning and development function for the operations and IT part of the organization, based out of the UK, but in a global capacity. I also was asked to develop a graduate training program across Deutsche Bank for the organization and took that on as well. We then came back to the United States at that point, and I joined Credit Suisse shortly thereafter. I actually ran learning and development for the investment bank globally. Again, brand new role. The investment bank had zero learning and development. So I basically went in and built an infrastructure and a framework around people development. After doing that for approximately 3 years, they asked me to run and build leadership development curriculum for our managing directors. And that was basically called our Leadership Institute, which I ran out of New York at that time. And then I had a very interesting conversation with my boss at the time, who was based in Zurich, about my next move. And we basically led a conversation that brought me to Asia rather rapidly. He said, would you have any opportunity to go out to Asia and build the talent function for Credit Suisse? And I said, absolutely, bring it on. So essentially, I dragged the family, my 2 children, and my husband as well, to go out to Hong Kong, and we built a function over the course of 5 years. So when I arrived, we had 2 people on the ground. When I left, I had a team of 45. When I arrived, we had about 50 learning and development programs going across the entire region. When I left, we had 2,860 to be exact. At that point, I then was recruited to join Thomson Reuters unexpectedly. I wasn't looking to leave Asia, nor was I looking to leave Credit Suisse, but it turned out there was a fabulous opportunity at Thomson Reuters, again, an organization going through a large amount of change. HR was being completely redefined, so the role that I actually signed on for ended up evolving quite a bit. So I initially looked after learning and development, and since then I've now taken on the responsibility of global diversity and inclusion.